Right. Evening, everyone. Hope we're all doing well. Welcome to month 3. Annabelle's just joining us. Hi, Annabelle. Don't worry, you've not missed anything as of yet. We're literally just getting started.
So okay.
Come and join in. Yeah, welcome to our session for today. How is everyone feeling at the moment? How are you feeling compared to last month? What progress have you made? So we'll quickly go round and we'll just ask everyone. Gabby, you're first on our screen, so we're going to come to you. So how are you feeling?
Let's try and use another word for tired.
No, I'm feeling okay. I've been a little down on my long runs, but I think that's a combination of the heat, not going out at the right time, not this weekend, but the weekend before, and just like I feel like I haven't been going further in my long runs, and that I've kind of like stayed static. But actually I know my progression on my kind of shorter, or I've been enjoying more the tempo and the kind of the speed sessions. I've been enjoying them, and I know I'm kind of getting quicker at that. But yeah, like so yeah, I had a couple of weeks where I was a little like down and a bit disheartened of my long runs, and but yeah, I think there was a lot of other factors which kind of contributed to why they didn't go quite to plan. But the one this weekend wasn't too bad considering the heat. It was fine. But yeah, but I feel okay. I haven't picked up any like niggles or anything like that. I've just been like, well, from this weekend I'm not necessarily slept very well, and so I'm tired this week. I'm tired, and I really didn't want to get out of bed this morning and do my run, but I did. So but yeah, but that's how it's going.
Good. Well, the plan kept you accountable to help you get out there. And yeah, just it's good that with the long runs you're kind of identifying what may be affecting those, rather than thinking, oh, you didn't there once say like, oh, I'm not capable, or it's a lack of fitness. You're just saying that there's factors which are kind of making them harder. And I'm sure as we go through, I'm sure a lot of people will be finding the heat.
Yeah, I'm finding like my heart rate has always been really high when I run, and there's a reason for that. Is that many, like I used to have a really low heart rate, and then I was in a flat fire like 6 years ago, and ever since then it triggered like anxiety, where when I run is one thing that kind of I could never get my heart rate back down. And all I have noticed over the last few weeks, if I look at all my kind of stats, is that my heart rate is coming down on the longer runs. So I know that I'm progressing, and I know that I'm getting fitter. So I know that it's not, you know, even though I haven't felt that the long runs have been kind of what I really wanted to do, I know that my fitness is there. So you know, there were silly things that I did, which was like I changed how I was fueling with the tailwind. I was trying to concentrate, but that all kind of went a bit wrong, and I felt like it was a bit sickly, and maybe I chose the wrong flavour, and then I went out late in the day. So I don't think it's my fitness. Definitely, I think it's more, yeah, different factors.
Good, and you recognise that, and yeah, your heart rate coming down is a huge sign of fitness improvement.
Yeah, and the positives there are that all these sort of mistakes or factors that you're going to have ironed out and corrected by race day.
Yeah, you'd rather be doing them now. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Gabby. Tasha, how are you feeling?
I am actually feeling pretty good. I'm feeling really positive after the long run at the weekend, because it was the furthest I've ever run and the longest I've ever run. And having pretty much 2 weeks out before that, being unwell, I was quite concerned about whether I'd be able to make it. But actually, I felt like I could keep going. It was only the temperature that stopped me, because I didn't want to keep running in the heat. And having the park run at the end really made a big difference because I was motivated at the end to do the last bit. And I actually kept going after park run to get to 18 miles because I didn't want to end like 17 and a half or whatever it was. So I looked like a fool just running up and down the street with my little token in hand. But that was a bit of a confidence boost because I wasn't sure I would get there. So that was good. And I think that I did fueling differently. I used a chew, which is definitely not like a chew, it's like jelly, but a chew rather than some of the gels, and that helped. I preferred that than the gel. So that was good. And yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to know about sort of the tempo runs and things because I can't monitor it on my watch. So I'm just doing the time or the distance, but I can't really tell because I don't get the funky graph that everybody else gets. So I don't really know if that's improving, but just doing it and hoping for the best.
What watch do you have, Tasha?
I've got Apple Watch. So it doesn't let me do any of the like intervals. So I'm just looking at it to know when to stop or when to do the next thing.
The advantage you'll have there is that you're learning to feel the effort. So you're not relying on technology. If you're getting that effort right, you'll get the training benefits.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think with the tempo run, you could maybe record it separately. So if there was like 20 or 30 minutes tempo, you could record the warm up, the tempo bit, and the cool down as 3 separate things if you wanted to see the overall pace. Obviously, you can't see like detailed data, but that might give you a bit of an indication. But James is exactly right, is that you're working to effort and you're going to still work in the right correct training zone. So you're not going to.
The thing is, as runners, we love stats and facts and figures, but actually they can let you down on race day. But if you're getting that feed in and you're learning that comfortably uncomfortable, that's where you need to be. If you're feeling comfortably uncomfortable, but your watch is telling you something slower than you want it to, and you speed up, or the other way around, it's not true to how your body is reacting. And especially on a marathon, you can't afford to be hitting that red zone, especially in the sort of first half. Actually learning the field, probably running a bit blind as we've actually with data, but actually you're probably running a bit better than yourself.
Yeah, but no, overall feeling much more confident. Well, the most confident I have the whole time. I feel like I could actually do it now, whereas before I had no hope, but I didn't believe I could do it at all. I was just hoping for the best. So yeah, so that's nice. And yeah.
Good, amazing. That's great feedback, Tasha. Thank you. Right, Carly, over to you. I know that you've had a bit of an up and down. Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, I feel like I've well and truly boarded the marathon roller coaster. Can I just check? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely on the roller coaster ride of the marathon. So my first 6 weeks were going really well. I was sticking to the plan and really enjoying it. And then for 2 weeks I was injured, and I found it really tough going when I was injured because I just couldn't run. So I had 2 full weeks of no running, which I know doesn't sound much, but I think because I was progressing so well with the plan, I mentally found it really hard and just not knowing how my injury was going to pan out. But I didn't run for 2 weeks, but I've been back at running now and following the training plan for the last 2 weeks. I still have ongoing issues with one of my feet, but I'm managing it, and I do have another niggle, but the last 2 weeks I've been really pleased with how I've progressed. I have just been sticking to the easy runs during the week. I've not been doing the tempo runs as you'd advised. And then I've been aiming for the longer run. So the last 2 weekends I've got back to my longer run. And on Sunday, I managed to do 28k, which I'm over the moon about. And it's just been such a huge mental boost. It actually makes me feel quite emotional speaking about it. I came home on Sunday and I just couldn't believe I'd run that far. And it's just made such a difference. And I actually feel like I'm excited now. And it feels like for the first time that I felt like I can actually do it now. Sorry. I wasn't expecting to feel emotional, but all of a sudden I am. So I'm really pleased. So just keeping everything crossed that I can just continue to progress. But feeling really good, in really good place.
Yeah, amazing. No, that's great, Carly. And yeah, obviously injuries aren't fun, but you know, James has obviously given you his advice to stick to easy. And if anything,
Yeah,
yes, okay, there are benefits to doing intervals and tempo sessions, but you know, if you're just doing your easy runs, you're working on your aerobic endurance,
yeah,
which marathon an aerobic event, and I am in my training as well at the moment. James is my coach. I fed back recently that I've been improving on my sort of like aerobic run. So that's what we're focusing on for me as well in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, just because you're not following the plan, don't feel like to the letter that you're not doing great. Like,
yeah. And I've still been doing the online classes and just keeping up with the runs, and you know, fingers crossed, it seems to be heading in the right direction. So no, it's a really lovely feeling going, actually, this feels achievable now. I just so delighted that I got that distance in on Sunday. So I'll just keep up with it. I think the one thing I'm still not quite sure about, and I feel a bit of an amateur saying it, but I still don't know what my marathon pace is. So I know what my pace is from the run that I did on Sunday, which was 28 kilometres. And I know what my pace is roughly from running a couple of half marathon distances. So I had a quick Google, and there's calculators that you can do to try and calculate your marathon pace. So I'm assuming that that's how you work it out. I don't know whether you have any advice on that when you were training for your first marathon.
yeah, we'll go through this. So I don't think I've communicated it, but because of how September is busy for James and I've scheduled in the different various calls into the diary, and we'll do a call the week of the race, because most people here are doing London. But there's two things with race pace, and it can be, you know, for James and I, we work with people and we say, right, your long runs, you then go a bit faster on your marathon pace. But we've also worked with clients where for their first one, Steph, one of our hub members, she was running 10-minute miles. I don't know what that is in kilometres, but she was running 10-minute miles thereabout for most of her long runs and feeling comfortable. And so on race week, we had the conversation, and she was like, I'm not doing this for a time, I'm doing this to feel strong. So she just literally like, and we would normally say like, oh, don't run race pace in your long runs. However, she just found a pace that felt comfortable, it felt, you know, efficient, and it felt smooth enough for her, and she felt like she could keep that on. So you don't necessarily have to be like, I'm doing my long run at X pace, I'm going to run faster on race day. You just find it's
I suppose there's a lot about it, asking yourself the question of what you want to achieve from race day. Is that time based? Is that an effort? Is that a feeling? And sort of asking yourself the questions and breaking it down a bit, and then obviously with our help we can get there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll do something close to the time, but I always think that, you know, my biggest advice for anyone doing their first marathon or their first London marathon is that you want to enjoy the experience. London Marathon is such a privilege and honour, and it's so special to run it. Like, I just got goosebumps just saying that. Like, it's just, honestly, it's one of the best things you will ever do. You don't want to put too much pressure on it by going for a time. Like, I know someone like Debbie, she's done multiple marathons here, so Debbie's probably going to be going for a time. But it's about, like James says, think about what you want to feel like on the start line, over Tower Bridge, which is almost halfway, and at that finish line. Think about what you want to feel like, and that will then help dictate maybe your race strategy closer to the time.
And certainly you want to be setting yourself up for the last 10k rather than setting yourself up to hang on for 20 miles.
Yeah, and I guess that's new territory for me. So I've run up to 28k, and as I said, I was pleased with how that had gone, but I don't know what it's like to run past that point, and you need to keep in the tank.
Halfway is halfway, but so obviously halfway is 13.1 miles, but on race day, the second half of the race is the last 10k. 20 miles is halfway point. That's where you can split the race into.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Annabelle, how are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, pretty good. So when we last spoke, I was going to try this walk run, and because I was doing my long runs and pretty much the rest of the day was wiped out for me, I was just dead. So I've done 3 now, with running for 9 minutes, walking for a minute, and just taking the last one out of the equation because that was a hot one. It's gone really well, and when I did 16 miles the week before last with the walk run, I did it 4 minutes quicker than when I ran the whole thing 2 weeks before. And I could function for the rest of the day. So yeah,
Yeah, that's brilliant.
that's the way forward for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's lots of benefits to that. It just allows your heart rate to lower. Also mentally for you, I think it was a big thing, wasn't it? It kind of might have, is it breaking it up a bit easier?
Yeah, I think it makes the time go quicker as well, because it's just, plodding along, and then it's like, oh, I've got another walking break. And yeah, just like, especially the 3 hours on Saturday, it just flew past. I think because I'm kind of, when I'm doing the walking now, I'm thinking about, all right, well, shall I start opening my gel, or shall I get ready for my next shot block, or take some water? So yeah, it's good. So I'm not going back now.
Sounds like you're more in control.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I was consciously trying to run slower, but then I was finding it uncomfortable. So it means I can run at my more natural pace. Yeah, so, and it was quite consistent. I mean, this last one wasn't consistent at all, because I think I was just drained from the weather, but my pace was more consistent the week before last, doing it that way.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, that's brilliant. I think the only thing you have to think about now is when you're on race day, there's going to be a lot of people around you.
Yeah.
Just have to make sure you don't collide with anyone.
Yeah, no.
And also, don't let anybody on race day or the environment change your plan.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I did it at Park Run the other week, and I'd literally just left the start line, and I had to walk. So everybody's like, "What's you walking?"
That's fine. That's it. You just move out.
Yeah, I just went to the side. I knew it was coming, so I just went right to the side on the grass. But then I did get some funny looks, like, why am I walking within the first 30 seconds?
Yeah, but no, just ignore people. It also means that on the route, I've got some bits on the route later on, is that you'll be able to take on water more easily, and might be able to navigate through the water stations and things like that. So, no, you seem more confident. So, yeah, everyone seems really positive. I'm loving this. Amazing. Right, okay. Debbie, over to you. How are you feeling? Obviously, you've just got back from holiday.
Sorry, I've got no video. I'm actually in the bath.
Oh, lovely. Good recovery.
I've got the Epsom salts going. I thought I'm going to sit in the bath for the whole call, and
so cool.
I get all puffy from the aeroplane.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like hoping that sitting in the bath for this amount of time is going to somehow get rid of it out of my ankles.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel okay. I'm feeling all right. I ran 4 times when I was in Cyprus. I kind of, the week before that, I was in Weymouth with my mum and my youngest, so I was running there as well. So actually, I'm looking forward to this week, just being at home and doing my own normal routes.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a relief not having to go out and find new routes and new areas to run, and then I can just, really sort of hone in on the paces, really.
Yeah, it adds a different dimension when you're in a new surrounding, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I went out today. I mean, I was delayed, and we had a horrific flight. We sat on the aeroplane at Gatwick for 2 hours. They wouldn't let us off the aeroplane. It was a whole catalogue of errors, but I got home at 7 a.m, actually walked in my house at 7 a.m, having not slept all night. So I took a Revy strip and went out and did my reps on the track today. So I took a pen as well. I'd like to dot my arm up, so because I can't keep count, especially when I'm tired. So there was no counting. I've just dot them all on my arm and did them, and came home and collapsed.
Brilliant. Well done. Yeah, we've done that before.
Katie likes chalk on the stone.
Yeah, we've got chalk.
Yeah.
It was a friend's idea actually, I think, because the one day I had like 20 reps and I was like, right, I can't keep count of this. I'm gonna have to take the chalk with me. So, no, it's good. What part of Cyprus were you in, Debbie?
We go to just a little bit further down from Ayia Napa, so we're not in the thick of things, but we're kind of like in Protaras, which is really nice. I mean, it's flat and really boring actually for running, but you know, it made it a bit easier because obviously I had the heat. I was getting up at sort of I was starting running at 7 a.m, but it was sort of 29 degrees at 7 a.m, so it didn't really ever feel like it was cool.
No, it doesn't really cool down, does it, in the evening?
No, and I did notice a lot of runners were going out in the evenings, but there's no way I could do that after spending the day on the beach, or, you know, burning myself up to a crisp or running about after the kids. So I was like, no, I'm gonna have to get this done in the morning.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay focused, isn't it, when you're on holiday and you've got you know, you've got to go out 4 times. And, you know, I had run on the day before, literally the day I flew, I went out and did a session here. I kind of picked the toughest session from the week. What was it? The 10 minutes. Was it 3 times 10 minutes? I can't even remember which one it was, but I felt like I did the toughest one here before it flew off. But yeah, I mean, I did sit there one evening thinking, oh, I could be having some drinks, or I could be having a massive pudding, or but I've got to run tomorrow, so. But like I say, it's because I want a time, isn't it? It's, you know, it's my choice. I want a PB this time, so you know, I'm making the sacrifices, and I think it just kind of demonstrates how much I want it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well done, Debbie. Kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your bath. Right, Amy, how are you feeling training at the moment?
Oh, not too bad at the moment. A little bit nervous. I keep thinking like, oh God, like every time, you know, the long runs come through and they're getting longer and longer. And I think, God, and then when I get home and I think, oh, I've done it. And then I think, well, I've got to go even further on marathon day. And I know it's just psychological, but I just keep thinking, oh, and when I did my half marathon last weekend, I thought, oh God, I've got to do that all like twice over. And I was just like, oh no. Like, but then I thought, no, you'll be all right. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, no.
Yeah, so you won't be running as fast on marathon days. That's
No.
When you're going for a half marathon PB, you're probably putting in the same effort as a marathon, kind of comparatively. If you're going for a time for a half, that's like, yeah, that's a whole different ball game in comparison to running 2 miles. But no.
Yeah, and they're natural thoughts. The fact of the matter is we've not built up to the marathon distance yet, so you're always going to think, oh, I'm not quite ready to be there when you've done said run on Sunday, because
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to be like thinking, oh yeah, I could go and run it tomorrow, because we haven't prepped you to run it tomorrow. So as we always say, just keep trusting the process, and everyone's been so positive, and in the group, everyone is like spreading the love and sharing their runs, and yeah, it's just everyone's kind of keeping that momentum and that motivation for each other. So
Yeah.
well done.
It definitely helps having everybody to, because like when you're thinking, oh, I can't be bothered, or if you have a bad day, and then just seeing everybody's posts come through, it cheers you up and cheers you on. You think, right, I'm going to do this. And today I took the kids swimming. So I don't know if that counts as cross training, taking them swimming. I didn't do much swimming, to be honest, just sort of getting dive bombed and splashed. But and I thought, oh, I really don't want to go for a run now. But then I thought, no, like, do it, because then you're going to be a day like I was last week. I thought you're going to be a day behind like you were last week, and it was a struggle then. And I thought, and I don't want to have all my runs last week were all together. And I thought, no, I want to be able to have those two rest days before my long run, so that my long run feels a lot better and I'm not sort of struggling. So yeah, so I forced myself, so it definitely helps having everybody to sort of say, oh, I've done this, and then you think, yeah, I'm gonna go and do it now.
No, that's it. Keep motivating everyone else, team. That's fabulous. Okay, good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. So today's topics, it was quite a few, but obviously I'm conscious of like time and where we're at in the training. But we're going to talk about kit, injury prevention. We're going into peak training. So right now we want to make sure that we're preparing ourselves for race day with what we're going to be wearing. This is like last month we were thinking about nutrition, and it sounds like from what a lot of you are saying, you've been putting that into your long runs, which is amazing. But now we want to be thinking towards race day and what else we can be doing to make sure that everything's all in place. So kit on race day. So we've all heard the phrase, never try anything on new on race day, right?
Yeah.
Good, lots of nods, like it. So nothing new on race day is the aim that we're going for, and that is in relation to kit as well. So we want to make sure that we don't have to know now. You know, James and I will always debate close to the time what shoes are we going to wear, but we've got an idea because we've been training in shoes. So it seems really silly. Obviously, James won't be wearing a sports bra, but you know, have you got everyone's got their favourite sports bra, right? You've probably got quite a few, and you've always got one of them that's your favourite. So have you got a lucky one? Have you got one that chafes less? Or have you got one that's just really supportive of your life? Obviously, just make sure that sports bra, that's a really important thing. Then you've got to think about whether you're wearing a t-shirt, a vest, or a charity top. Sorry, I'm just going to pop you on mute if that's all right for a second. So put in the chat if you've got a charity top to wear, and if you have you tried it out in any of your long runs yet? Have you tried the fit of it? Does it feel comfortable? So you have to think about what you're going to wearing. Also the temperature. People can very often feel like, oh, I'm going to wear a t-shirt, but because you're running for a long period of time, most likely your body temperature is going to increase. We always pretty much 99% of the time will race in a vest just to make sure that we're, you know, even in the winter we've been known to wear vests and just like sleeves. Have layers you can take off, you don't want to overheat. Yeah, so Carly's put, I have a charity vest, but I've not tried it yet. So yeah, perfect. So Carly, make sure you can wear that on one of your long runs, just to practice in it, because sometimes the fit is different. You know, we want to make sure that we're not chafing. You might want to be putting some Body Glide or Vaseline underneath. Debbie, all my sports bras run underneath. Yeah, I have a few like that, but you know, and as well, the weather is not great at the moment. I think the heat and stuff's having a factor. Natasha, but I have a charity top. It's not my favourite to run in though. I feel bad if I didn't wear it. So yeah, that's the thing with the charity top. More than likely, they're going to ask you or want you to wear it. So yeah, Gabby's put she's training her, so amazing. So next thing is either shorts or leggings, pockets. Amy put, I have a really old night bra. It's great, but I wear chub bra for green too. Love that. So yeah, make sure as well, shorts and leggings. I mean, that's whatever you feel more comfortable in, whether it's shorts or leggings. I would probably go for shorts, just again because of just body temperature. I just wanted to keep as cool as possible. And you know, do they have pockets? Do they have somewhere to stash your gels? Things like that. Start thinking about what's going to help take anything on the way round. Socks might seem really silly, but again, do you have a favourite pair of socks? Do you have socks that are most comfortable? You've got to think about preventing, you know, blisters. You don't want any blisters stopping you in that last 6-8 miles because you've got a blister because you've worn different socks.
I think for me, socks are really overlooked. We spend so much money on trainers and then we just put any old sock on, but just make sure you've got a good sock.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like, you know, some people just wear the ones from Sports Direct. What is it, like the Carrymore ones, because they work for them. They don't have to be like Nike ones or anything like that. It's just finding the right sock that's going to fit with your shoe. And trainers. So just a bit of an example. last training block, I wore like plated shoes a bit too much in my training session. So this time round, I've not worn any plated shoes. The first time I wore my Vaporflies on Saturday for my long run, and my ankles were pretty sore for 2 days. Not that it really stopped me in training. I had a bike day on Monday rather than a run. So it's just knowing that if you've got particular trainers that you want to wear, think about those. And then, yeah, Debbie's put, I do all my speed sessions in my Vaporflies. I was doing that, but then I picked up a small niggle towards the end because my Vaporflies were pretty dead. So it was my own fault, and so I've just tried to steer away from that this time round.
Yeah, your ankle set this time, so you hadn't.
I hadn't
got yourself used to them.
Yeah, I hadn't. Yeah, so I'd done too much in them and not enough in them this time.
So you'll get it right in the middle sometime.
Yeah, at some point. A good thing as well, like say for example, right now, if you've got your pair of trainers, if they're a pair of Hokas or Adidas or New Balance, whatever they are, if you're thinking of, you know, maybe it's worth buying that exact same shoe, you've been doing your long runs in it and they're comfy, buy a new pair now, and then you want to be doing your last couple of long runs in them, so they're pretty fresh, but you know that they're suitable enough for race day. Would never really recommend box fresh. I mean, I think James has before, but it just runs a risk if you, even if it's the same style. So yeah, like some people will be like, oh, I've used this particular shoe throughout my whole block. By the end of the block, they might be sort of like the foam might not be as responsive. So you want some nice, decent, comfy, fresh shoes. So if you feel like, oh, maybe my shoes are getting to the end of their lifespan, now's the time to buy a new pair, wear them in for a couple of long runs, put them back in their box and save them for race day. But if you don't know what shoes you're wearing yet, there's also time. But that is a thing to consider. Another thing that you might want to consider is your watch and your face, like the watch face setup. Like what data do you want to be seeing on marathon day? What are you going to respond well to? What are you not going to respond well to? A couple of years back, when I first got my watch, I didn't really play around with it. And Gabby's put, just bought a second pair of the same shoe last week, so just starting to train them. Yeah, perfect, well done. And I was like, was not very responding well to my heart rate, was I? And it was like scaring me if I saw my heart rate creep up. So James recommended taking the heart rate part off of my watch face, and it changed a lot for me.
With that as well, if you're going to be looking at running to pace or time, just make sure you know what your elapsed time should be at different points in the race, in case you lose GPS or your signal goes a bit mad. So I don't know if you need to be at 5k in 30 minutes. No,
yeah,
so you're looking at that elapsed time when you're watching, not rely completely on the data.
Yeah, that's so true, especially with London. You tend to lose signal Canary Wharf way because it's all of the buildings are so built up, but also because there's so many people out on the course, everyone else is probably trying to achieve GPS at the same time, so everyone's GPS might be bumping off of everyone else's watch. So you're probably most likely going to record, I don't want to say it, but your watch is probably going to record slightly longer than 26.2 miles. But normally in London there's the racing line, so if you want to try and follow that as close as you can, that will help you get the truest way to the finish. So yeah, just think about your watch, what's going to help you. Music. So most races now won't let you have headphones unless you're wearing aftershocks, which are the bone conduction, so they sit on the outside. Some people say, like James doesn't really run with music, do you?
Absolutely not. I think you need to listen to what's going on, be aware of what's going on, and take it all in.
Yeah, and personally for me, I love running with music, but in London sometimes I'll have it on really low, so it's just in the background and I can really take in the crowds. And then towards the end of the race, if I'm maybe struggling, I turn the music up and I can focus and I can zone in. Some people will have their aftershocks on and maybe then just turn them on when they need them, maybe towards the latter stages of the race. With London though, you do want to take in the atmosphere and the crowds. They're just amazing, and you also don't want to be missing out on not seeing friends and family because you're listening to like Eye of the Tiger too loud along the embankment or something. So it's just something to think about. A good thing with music is as well thinking of songs that remind you of your training block or of certain people that have some significance in your life. You know, if there's a song that you know, someone's really important to you and that you know that song is going to help you, put that on your playlist to help you out and to keep you focused. Amy's just asked, she has a pair of Boston 10s, should she get another pair of speedier ones or just stick to what I know?
If they're comfortable and you feel fast and you feel like they're ready to do the marathon, then stick with them.
Yeah. Yeah, if you feel like they're perfect for your long runs, then stick with those, Amy. Or you could try a pair, use them in your training sessions, try them for a couple of long runs and see how you get on. You don't have to wear.
As well, it comes down to if you want to invest in something. So like Adidas, you got the Boston 10, so naturally the super shoe or the marathon racing shoe for Adidas is the Adios Pro. If you wanted to get them, you want to give yourself the edge on race day, like not necessarily physically but mentally as well. And buy them, try them on a few of the speed sessions, but obviously you don't want to use them as much. They'll be ready for race day. But it's up to you.
Yeah. No. I was just going to carry on from there. And then thinking about race day, like what are you carrying? Do you want to carry your phone? Do you need to carry water with you? What fuel are you going to be taking? You know, you might be training in a hydration vest now, but you don't want to take that on race day. So you've got to think about the kit that's going to serve to taking everything with you. So there's obviously options.
Okay, his favourite colour shorts.
I just googled shorts with running pockets. This was one from Tiki Boo. I currently have a pair of New Balance, but I do need to find another pair because at the moment I'm getting chafing from them when I'm loading up my pockets too much. So I do need to find, so it's a note to myself to try and find. But yeah, you can use shorts with pockets. You can use a hydration pack. If you train with like we get this question a lot, like, well, I train with a hydration pack, should I train with it on race day? And it's like, if you feel comfortable and that's what's going to help you, then yes, take a hydration pack. It doesn't matter. Amy's put them there, really comfy. And then you've also got things like running belts where you can take things with you. Personally, running belts don't work for me, just the way they sit. They're not very comfortable. I think I did have one for my first marathon. For the first 5K, I just felt like it was like flapping around everywhere. I think I might have even chucked it later on in the race once I'd got rid of all my gels and whatnot. But yeah, you just have to think about how you're taking stuff around on the course. Next, you have to think about what is available on the course. So where are the toilets located? What water or hydration do they offer? Do they have gels and medical support? And I've put in brackets, hopefully not for most people. So this is based on London Marathon in 2021. They currently don't have much information about 2022, about anything, if I'm being honest. And chatting with Children with Cancer UK, they don't know much information either. London Marathon are keeping their cards close to their chest. So looking at the map,
it'll be similar.
It will be similar. And also what you've also got to consider, this is like in COVID times. So previously when we've both done London, I think like water was every mile. Pretty much every mile, so this might be different. So last year they had water pretty much every 2 miles. This isn't to the letter because some of them just after the mile marker, so don't need to get into 22 and thinking there's going to be a water station there because it might be 22.2 miles, but just know that there's pretty much every water every 2 or so miles. Also, don't get sucked into thinking like you need water at every station just because it's there. So I remember when I first did London, and there was water every mile, and I was really like, everyone was taking water, and I was like, hold on, I don't need to be taking water on every mile. I'm going to need to wee at 10k if I'm literally downing or taking water on every aid station. So we'll have to find that information out, but just know there's plenty of water. So that can eliminate a hydration pack potentially if you're comfortable enough with that. This was also bottles, mainly of London, rather than cups, so that's a positive. Their sponsor last year was Lucozade Sport, so they had Lucozade Sport, the sports drink at 9, 15 and 21, and then they had gels available at 14 and 19. So if you trained with their gels and you liked them, then there's opportunity to pick some extra up on the course. I would still always take your own fuel, enough of, but if you needed a backup, sometimes you drop a gel or you need an extra one. That was what was available last year. Chicago, I think the only person doing Chicago is Amanda, but I will just talk this out just for her benefit when she watches it back. So this was based again on last year. They had 20 aid station, and between 1 and 2 miles, they had a medical tent, toilet facilities, water, and Gatorade. So when you go abroad in America, they normally have their American based brands. Obviously, Gatorade is popular out there. Boston was Morton, which is available in the UK. And then, yes, they also have gels and other bits along the course. I think they have bananas as well. I can't see. Yeah, so bananas and bits like that. So lots at Chicago. Then Amsterdam, they had this on their website. So they have an ISO drink in lemon flavour. So again, it's important to know what flavours they might be offering. Water and sponges, pretty much at every 5k interval. Bananas. You don't like bananas, do you? So yeah, it's just when the information gets released closer to the time. London Marathon are really good at sending out like a really packed event guide. So just make sure you read it. Like, it's normally going to be digital now, so it can easily get lost in your emails. But just take, like, you guys are spending so much time training, just take the time to read the event guides to make sure you're comfortable with what is available to you on course. You don't want to turn up and be like, oh, where's water? Where's the toilets? It's good to know these things beforehand. Cool. So has anyone got any questions about kit, or has anyone got any setups that they'd like, what's working for them, they'd like to share? Any questions? Some people just carry gels in their hands, stuff them down their sports bras, I've seen. Any questions?
I've just started in the last month running with a hydration pack, and I'm actually quite liking it, and I quite like the fact that I can take a few other bits and pieces with me as I go along. I'm just thinking now that I ran on Sunday with my hydration pack, and I think it was pretty much full to capacity, and I've been using Tailwind as well. I was previously using the SIS gels, but I found them quite sickly and actually really tricky to open. A lot of the time I really struggled ripping it right open. So I've been really getting on quite well with the Tailwind. So I guess an action on myself is just to, as I say, check the capacity of the hydration pack, because I'm conscious that I might run out around the 30-kilometre mark. So I guess I'll just need to figure out whether I need to pick up water as I go along, or maybe I should start experimenting with the Lucozade Sport drink. But I don't know how you would experiment with that, because I don't want to carry that along necessarily with me. But did you say that that would be available around 9 or 15 miles? So I guess
providing that Lucozade are their sponsor again.
Yeah.
They normally
I've been using Tailwind as well, and I have the same thoughts as you. So that's why a couple of months ago I tried, because they suggest that you can concentrate it into kind of a small kind of, I think it's like a 750 or 500 kind of ml bottle, and put like however many sachets or scoops into that, so it's a thicker consistency, but then you can pick up the waters on the way round. So that's what I tried, but I chose the wrong flavors because I was running out of the ones that I liked, and so it was the ones that I had were too sweet, so I found it really sickly by that point. But I want to try that again, but probably with like the unflavored one, to see whether that would work. So because I don't necessarily want to carry the hydration kind of vest, so I was trying to figure out whether or not you can, or whether I can do it a different way. But it explains it on the website how you concentrate it if you need to.
Okay.
My only thing with Tailwind, it is great, and a lot of people do like positively use it, but just make sure that you're still taking enough carbohydrates as well as Tailwind. So it might be that you use Tailwind and other things, because I had a conversation with a client the other week and she's been using Tailwind, and when we looked at, she'd been using, rather than like packs, they have a tub.
Yeah.
So some of her family use it, they all use it. And she was like, oh, like, she's training for a half, and she's like, oh, I was kind of running out of energy towards the end. And when we looked at how much, she thought, oh yeah, I'm hydrating and I'm, you know, getting my carbs with Tailwind, but actually she wasn't taking enough. So just make sure that if you are using Tailwind, that however much you're going to be taking throughout the marathon is going to be enough for the whole race. So it might be, Carly, that if you've got a litre pack or whatever it is in your hydration pack, that's Tailwind. Are you going to then supplement that with other things? Is it going to be energy bars, gels? You know, you can use multiple things, but just make sure that you've got enough. Because that's one thing that people are like, oh yeah, I'm fueling, but don't look into the detail of how much they're fueling with.
Yeah, on Sunday I did take for the first time a kind of chocolatey protein bar along with me, and I didn't feel like eating it, but I made myself eat it kind of halfway through my run and then towards the end, so it perhaps made a difference as well. And I wondered about, even just before you get to the start line, maybe eating a banana or something just before you set off. And I do take just jelly babies with me and take one maybe every half an hour, but maybe I should switch to like Cliff Blocks or something like that, or I do still have some SIS gels, and I have actually taken them out with me, but I've not ended up using them. But do you think it might be worth just trying to have one?
Well, if gels don't work for you, you don't have to have gels. But like I said, it's the amount of carbohydrates. So like with a jelly baby, you need to be eating 3 or 4 to have the same carbohydrates as one gel. So one jelly baby every half an hour, if anything, it's just giving you a mental boost more than anything.
Yeah, it's not that the gels didn't agree with me. I think I just found them quite footery trying to open them. I always felt like I was struggling to tear the foil, and then my hands got really sticky. But if you think that it's worth having them, I would persevere with them, because they seem to agree with my stomach. And
you could open the gels beforehand, put them into a bottle and sip them out.
Yeah.
You might have to dilute them slightly to make them more consistent throughout the bottle, but
yeah. So do you
okay.
Yeah, that's a great tip that someone gave us before. Like, do you know, like the squeezy like soft flasks?
Okay, yeah.
Like to can the gels into those, and then you can just sip on that throughout the run, and then you don't have to worry about them leaking.
Well, that's a really good tip, because it sounds so silly, but I was really struggling to open them as I was running. I'll look into that then. So you think if I had my hydration pack with my Tailwind, and then maybe have, I don't know, a gel to complement that every hour, do you think that would?
Yeah.
Practice with what works for you.
Yeah.
To get that right in training. And as you touched on then, back even on the start line, so on marathon day, I'll have my breakfast, whatever. I'll have malt loaf on the start line, literally 30 seconds before the gun goes up. So I process that.
Okay, I've never tried the malt loaf. I'll add that to my list of things to try.
Once again, I'm not a banana person, but malt loaf's got the carbs, the fats, and especially butter on it.
Okay, I'll try that.
And I know I can digest that. So
yeah, we love.
I had also written a note here. I'm just got my little book here. And I'd written down Cliff Blocks and margarita flavour, to have them at 20 miles because they contain sodium and might help avoid cramps. I've had Cliff Blocks before, but never the margarita one. Is that something you've heard of? Or?
That makes sense.
Yeah, not like some people will have, you know, caffeine-based stuff towards the end, but I think that with your Tailwind, that should have enough electrolytes and things in it to help anyway. And it's just when you start doing the longer runs, your people that tend to have cramp will start to experience it in training. So it's just So some, like, you know, I personally, let's touch wood, haven't like struggled with cramp, but people that do cramp up are crampers, if that makes sense. Like people,
Okay.
it's to do with your sweat level, how much salt you really sweat out. So some people are just kind of tend to cramp. So you don't necessarily be like, oh yeah, you have to have this margarita shot block at the end. If you're taking,
bearing in mind along with this as well, we're training the heat now, so if it's going to cool down by marathon day, the salt levels will be different, and actually you're going to get cakes.
but again, if you feel like taking a shot block mentally is going to help, like, because sometimes a lot of nutrition stuff, sometimes it can just be a lot in your head. Like you take a gel and straight away you're like, oh, it's giving me a boost of energy, when it's not the case, because it's got to take a while to digest. But you take a gel and you're like, oh, I've got, or you take,
it in your tongue,
yeah,
signal to the brain.
yeah. So again, it's just working out what's going to help you get. Like I remember when I first started training, Jelly Babies was kind of what I used, as well as gels. Red ones only. And towards the end of the race, if I still had like Jelly Babies in my pocket, I'd just be like, right, okay, well, I've got 6 Jelly Babies and I've got 3 miles to go. I'll take one at every half mile, and it would just help me mentally get through. Like Annabelle breaking down her run, it helped me to get to the next point just by having the incentive of having sweets in my pocket. But yeah, this is why training's the right time to try these things. Rather than getting to the week one and thinking, oh, I've tried this. Yeah, but if you find something that works for you, just stick with it. Don't deviate from it. If you found something, you're going to be trying something new every week. If you found what works for you, a few people have sounded like they're kind of figuring that scenario out. And yeah, just keep sticking with it. And then when it gets to a point that it doesn't work, then just change it up. But yeah, Tailwind should include enough electrolytes and stuff to help prevent so Debbie says that she uses a flip belt. They're quite popular. Amy uses a hydration pack. She uses Active Root ginger hydration drinks to help keep her stomach settled. Gabby uses naked bars with Tailwind. Tasha said yes to the malt loaf. Love it. Okay, so injury prevention. Now I want to cover this because we're at a stage of training where we're hitting our peak, we're starting to get tired. We just want to make sure that we look after ourselves so we can stay ready on that start line. So as Carly has recently found out, unfortunately, injuries are part and parcel of running. You know, if you do get injured or you do pick up a niggle ever in your training career, your running career, don't always think that like you've done something wrong or anything like that. It is just speak to any runner. If you were to go to a park run or go to a race and you speak to most runners, 9 out of 10 of them, maybe even 10 out of 10 of them, will have picked up something in the past. It's just part of it, unfortunately. If we had a magic pill that could stop injuries, we'd be rich and we'd be sat on a beach somewhere. But it's just not the way. Injuries can usually occur down to doing things too quickly, doing too much, or if there are imbalances. So say, you know, you'll go to a physio and they'll be like, oh, you're more dominant on one side than the other, or you've got a weak glute, which is then meant you're compensating on the other side, or you've got a tight hip, and that's that kind of thing. There's also a difference between a niggle and an injury. A niggle, not saying that you should run through niggles, but niggles sometimes can be things that are managed. And if they're not getting any worse, then you can kind of adapt your training maybe. We're not saying train through a niggle, but a niggle is something which is kind of bugging you, might go away soon, might need some management. An injury is something that you shouldn't run through. It's like something that's
changing your...
Yeah, exactly. Changing your running form. It's really uncomfortable when you're walking, sitting, running. That's when you just should, any pain, you should just stop and not make anything worse. At the first sign of pain, try not to just, I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups, one for a charity I'm working with and one just the London Marathon group. And someone will they'll put a picture of their knee and they're like, the inside of my knee's hurting. Can anyone help? And then you'll get a flood of people who are not qualified and will only be going off their own experience. Like James and I can give advice on injuries, but we don't also claim to be experts. We can go based off of our own research, our own workings with clients and things like that. But we're not going to definitively say, yeah, you've got this injury. We will always point you in the way of going to see someone. So rule of thumb with our like with physio that I work with, if you've got a niggle which has been there for 2 weeks, go and seek out some advice. Like for me, on Sunday and Monday, my ankles were hurting me, and I just thought, okay, I just have to manage this. By today, they're much better, so that's fine. If my ankles were, you know, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, I'd then call him up and say, can you see me? So yeah, just learn to listen to your body. Don't push through anything just because the training plan says. So just had a question. Tasha put, I can get pains in my knees. I use tape on my knees for every run and this has really helped. I think it is now psychological that I need to have tape. This seems to manage it fine. Would you recommend seeing a physio? So I had something similar to that before, didn't I? I used to get some problems with my shins. So I used to then wear compression socks, which really helped. And then I got to a point where I was just wearing compression socks all the time. And then I then didn't know if I was needing them or just they were my safety blanket. So it just depends with the pain, Tasha, like how long you're getting the pain for. Is it like during the run, after the run, how long? We do recommend going to see a physio or a sports masseuse every sort of 3 to 6 weeks anyway, just to have like general MOTs. So if you book in with a physio, you can go and get a sports massage, which is just a general maintenance, and then also ask the question as well.
Also, if tape's helping, then that's just with stability, which your strength work, if you're consistent with that, will replace the tape.
Yeah, and I think if you know, like with the compression socks, if they're helping, even if it is just a mental thing, just keep taping your knees up. You did that with your ankle and your calf. So James had a bit of a pull on his calf a couple of months ago. Although his calf felt fine, kept taping up his calf. And I think that just helps you until you felt you were ready just to remove the tape. So yeah, I hope that helps, Tasha.
Thank you.
So what to do if you pick up an injury? Obviously, like you said, seek out expert advice. You've got to identify what the issue is and then how to treat it, because let's take knees, for example. Sometimes when people have pains in their knees, it sometimes can be, not say this is what you've got, Tasha, but a tight IT band, and the IT band is pulling on the knee, and that can then cause the pain. So what we find is that what's hurting is usually not the thing that's, I mean, if you were to roll your ankle, then it's your ankle. It's not your finger or your head or anything like that. If you've rolled your ankle, then...
But you're in marathon training, you're putting a lot of stress through your legs, so there's going to be lots of pulls and tension points, and they often manifest or visualise themselves in different places.
And so now that we're coming up into our peak training, you've all been doing so well with your long runs, you're hitting distances and times on feet that you've never hit before. If over the next few weeks something crops up and you're out on a run, don't just keep running because the plan says for you to do so. Think about all of the runs that you've been doing. It's not just about getting to that 20-mile distance or 3 hours once. It's about the cumulative effect you guys have been doing week on week on week on week on week, all of the training, all of the hard work you've been doing. So don't try to push through things in the next few weeks, because we're all going to be tired. Let's be honest, the heat is taken out of us more. Your form may change, and so you just don't want to put any pressure on yourself. You know, like with Carly just messaged us and just asked, what should I do? And James said, try not to add the intensity, just add in the distance. And now Carly sat here, you know, and like happy tears because she's so happy she's achieved her longest run. So that's great. You know, missing a few weeks because of injury doesn't mean you've missed anything. And like here, we got you to start gradually, just a plan. Try not to chase with what you missed, and you'll get back onto the road. Okay. Yeah, anything else with it? Cross training. Do you want to talk about cross training and how to utilise it, and maybe the easy stuff?
Yeah, so I think it's very important at the moment while the long runs are stepping up and the intensity of the speed work is high, that we don't neglect the easy work and cross training. Basically, this is the glue that pulls the weeks together. Let's get the glue to that, but also if we were just doing the, say, Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, it'd be 3 sessions in the week and you're not giving yourself or your body time to adapt to the training. What the cross training does, as well as add volume, it also just promotes recovery by flushing blood through the muscles and flushing lactic out and basically rewarding your body. I know it sounds very backwards to do exercise to relax it, but that's how it works.
Yeah. So yeah, just make sure that when, I think we both have done this ourselves or clients have done this, now that you're starting to get to peak and you're starting to feel really good, don't neglect all of the small stuff, all the good habits that you started building at the start. Like we notice straight away when people are feeling good, they'll drop their stretching, or they won't run their easy runs as easy because they're like, oh, I'm feeling really fit at the moment, I'll just push park run a bit faster. But yeah, just keep the cross training, the easy stuff in there. I think that's why I'm panicking. Marathons a couple of weeks after everyone else, I feel like I'm behind. No, Amy, you're exactly where you should be. So yeah, don't just think, you know, once everyone's done London, we can then be your biggest cheerleader. So, you know, don't feel like you're a couple of steps behind. You're doing absolutely amazing. Like you got a half marathon PB the other day. Like that's insane. Like that goes to show what progress you've made. So no, just keep.
And I'm on the same journey, Amy.
Yeah, and James was doing Amsterdam. Well, whatever marathon you choose on that date as well. So no, just don't neglect the good stuff when you're feeling good, because it's so easy to do that. Talk about that. Stretching. So hopefully a lot of you, some of you have been dialing into the stretching classes. Just utilise the stretching classes that are on the system. If you know, not obviously we want you to use the stretches on the system, but YouTube videos, there's loads of things. You literally type in 5-minute, 10-minute run, stretching, stuff like that. So again, don't neglect it. And if you're struggling to fit in 20 or 30 minutes, do a couple of minutes every day. Everyone can try to find the time to fit in a couple of minutes every day. We've been trying to encourage some of our clients to do that we know are notoriously bad for stretching. You'll feel the difference just in terms of flexibility and mobility to get going for those sessions when they come up. So just general injury advice, obviously, make sure you're doing your warm-ups properly. I know that we're hot anyway when we're out running because it's warm, but just make sure your body, like the joints, muscles, they're all warm.
Mentally ready as well.
Yeah, keeping up your stretching. Sports massage. So talk through like how often you get sports massages and when you have yours in relation to the race week.
So for me, in the general sort of time of the year, I have a sports massage every 4 weeks. Once I get closer to peak race day, probably about 6 weeks out, I'll have a massage every 2 weeks, just because that's what my body needs or how good I need. And then sort of on race week, I'm usually Tuesday or Wednesday, so that your body still has time to recover from that. And don't worry about a massage afterwards. I don't know why people do that.
No, your muscles are so sore for a couple of days. It's like torture. Maybe like a week after, but not straight after. So yeah.
Unless you want to treat yourself to a spa and therapeutic.
Oh yeah, spa definitely the day after. That's lovely. But yeah, so if you are already getting regular sports massage, you might want to book in for like race week. And just also as well, sports masseuse can be like really individual because every masseuse will have like different techniques or like pressure. So like some can be really firm, some are more just maintenance, you know, it's just finding, you know, I've been to some masseuses that are like brutal and it's like I didn't get anything, I'm bruised. And whereas like the sports masseuse I go to, he might not be right for everyone, but I personally, it's great. My legs always feel really fresh and bouncy a couple of days after I've been to see him. So yeah, just a quick reminder. I know it is an expense, but it is worth it. I really feel anyway. And then yeah, if you're doing all your strength and core work, your body's gonna be stronger. It's just gonna help you injury-proof yourself. And we find that even if you sometimes like doing strength training doesn't always bulletproof you. However, people that do strength work, when they restart running, they'll find that they can jump back into it a lot easier just because of all the work that they have been doing. So yeah, now is just the time to make sure you look after your body. So peak training, I'll chuck this over to James because we're heading into peak now.
Okay, so as Kate's got here, it's the final few weeks before you head into the taper. It usually lasts of around 2 to 3 weeks, and it's where you'll be completing your longest runs, your most time on feet, and your more intense training, sort of long marathon pace stuff. There'll be more emphasis on speed or marathon, etc. Sometimes there'll be some tune-up races, including half marathons or 20 milers. So I know a few of you have got 20 milers and half marathons booked. Over the plan, over the next few weeks, we will have some long runs with some marathon pace bits in them. I will encourage you guys to use them as dress rehearsals. So use your nutrition, use your race day kit, use your race day trainers. That's it. I mean, this is the point we're at now. So you are going to feel tired, but it's about now getting yourself mentally as well as physically ready. So start fine lining, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, start feeling confident in yourself, and looking forward to taking it.
Yeah, you've literally just said the next slide. But yeah, I think is everyone kind of comfortable with what peak training is? It is there's not really much to, we don't really sugarcoat it or talk about it. It's just you've been doing for a long period of time the build work, so you've been building up. At the start there was lots of easy runs, and
I suppose to simplify, when you look at the plan now for the next few weeks, there's going to be bits that scare you, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, so you're probably going to be hitting, most people in their peak, they're oh, I'm hitting the most miles I've ever hit. You're going to be hitting your longest long runs, the most time on feet. So it is just the final push in your training before you head into that taper to make sure you're ready. So obviously what to expect is to feel, this is exactly everything that's just James has said already. You're going to feel tired. It is the final push. And for me personally, we always feel the peak is done right if you finish your last long run and you're yes, bring on the taper. That. Not that we want you to go in there feeling absolutely fatigued and knackered, but you want to look forward to yes, I can. We've got.
I think I'm a little bit different to you. I'm I'm ready for taper now. Not in an injured or fatigued way.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I feel done. I'm ready and cooked.
Yeah, bring it on. Some people hate it because they're oh, I don't want to be running less. But it should you should feel that nice sense of accomplishment at the end of the peak to be yeah, I'm ready to hit the taper now. Annabelle, I'm looking forward to it already. Love that.
You've got a few more weeks to go, yeah.
But yeah, it's just that, the amount of times that I've done peak with you and I'm oh, I'm just really tired. And James just stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. It's the last bit. There is always a difference between feeling tired and exhausted / fatigued. So if in peak week you need to drop something, the peak weeks you need to drop something so you can make sure you get those long runs nailed, that you've got that confidence, then great, but do expect to feel tired. Don't try to squeeze extra out of your training in the last few weeks either because you feel it's peak. That's what I did.
You do start getting to the point where less is more, and obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that in miles. But if you've been keeping quite strict with your strength work, for example, your strength work either you can drop the resistance either way, or you can drop the time or the frequency of the sessions because you are quite strong now.
Yeah. So if you've been consistent with those, then you can drop your strength training back a bit because if you're doing your strength work on a Friday and you're going out on your long run on Saturday or Sunday, you might feel that cumulative effect. So you can start to in the peak. James and I definitely kind of reduce our strength a little bit.
But your running should maintain your strength work if you've done correctly.
Yeah. And also don't worry too much if you feel like, I know that we've given you a lot of information at the start about kit, course, toilets. Don't feel like you have to have all that stuff figured out in the peak, because you've got a lot to take care of anyway. So when people always say like, oh, I've got so much free time on my hands in the taper is when you can get everything nailed down. You can really understand, you can start visualizing the course, you can plan, hopefully you've planned how you're getting to the start, but plan your logistics of like where your family and friends might be on the course, where you're going to meet them after. You've got the taper time to figure all that stuff out, so try not to get yourself bogged down with things that you don't need to in the peak. Just focus on doing the training, ticking those miles off, feeling accomplished that you've got that taper to organise all the other stuff after that. So yeah, basically we just want to prep you and say, right, peak is upon us, and this is what to expect. So any questions? Hopefully we've not scared you too much with that now. How's everyone feeling from the start versus the end? It's like how it started be how it's going.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I booked the Milton Keynes 20 miles on the 11th of September, but now I'm concerned that might be a bit too late. I don't know what the plan will look like then.
Is that 3 weeks before London?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so with your paper, we're doing a workshop on it in 2 weeks' time, which you're all invited to. We're charging people that are not in the running hub on it, so you guys can attend for free. But yeah, your last long run, and again, James will go through this in the training plan, but your last long run will be either 3 or 4 weeks out from your marathon. So 3 weeks is, and that's if you find that you're recovering well, Tasha, from your long run. Some people we'd say 4 weeks if you feel like your recovery time's a bit longer, but 3 weeks is kind of the standard. So no, that's a good time to have it in. And as well, doing it in racing environment means, like James said earlier, you practice everything. You can practice, nutrition, your kit, and pacing, all bits like that. So no, you're good.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, I like it when that happens. That means we've covered it all.
So I was going to say my 20 mile is the week before that. So is that too early then, or is that okay?
No, that's fine. Like we said, you'll then probably on the 3 weeks before still be doing a longer run of some form.
Well, I've booked that Milton Keynes, but I've booked the 15 miles.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that weekend, I've actually got planned for you guys a marathon pace half marathon. So you've already got your mile warm up and warm down to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's fine, Annabelle. And yeah, it just sometimes, even for me, I think a few years ago, there wasn't many 20 milers around, and I normally go off a 3 week taper. But yeah, we did 4 weeks. Well, my 20 miler, should I say, was 4 weeks. It wasn't a 4 week taper at all. It's just my last 20 miler was the 4 weeks, and yeah, it worked out fine.
Yeah, so just off the top of my head, to give you guys a bit of a heads up and advance warning. So the first weekend of September, I've got you guys, whatever marathon you're doing, down as a marathon paced half marathon with a warm up and warm down. So that's the fourth weekend. The weekend after, for those in Chicago and Amsterdam, we'll do slightly less miles, but for everybody else, it's their last long run. So 20 miles, or I think it's 3 hours 45 for the guys. And then obviously it forks up again for the guys doing Amsterdam and Chicago. But for you London people, it'll drop down from there. That sounds good for everybody. I do like the element of surprise then, keeping the plan with, but you got a little bit of heads up there.
That means that Annabelle will just switch the 2 weeks round. Yeah, just switch the 2 weeks round, Annabelle, when they get released. That makes sense.
Sorry guys, because I'm away on I'm just looking at my calendar. I get home on the 12th of September. So if I do should I do my longest long run when I come home on the Tuesday, or that weekend on the 18th? If that makes sense.
Okay, so your longest run will still be coming up, so you're all right.
Yeah, don't.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm behind everybody else, aren't I? Yeah. So, oh God, ignore me.
Landing to do a marathon paced half marathon on the weekend of the 3rd and 4th, which I'm assuming is before you go away.
Yeah, so there is actually one. I wanted to do the big half of everyone else, but obviously because I go away on the Monday, there is one in Stockport round the corner from me, so I can do that on the Sunday. And I've been told to do it as well, so because apparently I'm annoying before we go away on holiday, and like a drill sergeant moaning at everyone, going, "Why haven't you packed this and why haven't you packed that?" So everyone was like, "No, go do it and get out of the house."
Get the energy out of you.
Yeah, get away from us all for the day.
So do that then in Stockport. Then the weekend of the 10th and 11th, if you're away,
Yeah,
15 or 16 miles. But if you can do that on the 13th when you're back,
yeah,
we'll be back in sort of that weekend. As long as you don't do your long run on the Saturday that weekend.
yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that'll work out. Yeah.
Well, try not to put too much pressure on yourself on holiday then. Like, you just, 1 week of training really isn't going to derail you if you focus on, like, the long runs and just keeping a few easy runs in that week off. Like, enjoy yourself, Amy, on holiday. Like, you don't want to be drill sergeants with you guys to be like, you have to do this. Like, obviously earlier, like Debbie was saying, like there's sacrifices you have to make for marathon training, which is so true, but we also don't want you to take fun out of your holiday with the kids and your family and having so if you can sandwich it stuff either side of it, and just it might be that you do some more strength training on holiday, you nip to the gym on the hotel for 30 minutes instead, or things like that, just to make sure you enjoy your holiday as well.
Yeah, I found out that they've got well, I knew they had a few pools, but they've got one that's like an Olympic size swimming pool, and I love swimming. Apart from running, swimming's like my favourite thing. So I thought, well, even if I just get up a little bit earlier, do the sunbed run in the morning, put all the towels out and get a good swim in before everybody else is up. Like that should be good. If I can do that every day, then if I miss a couple of runs, it's not so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Dreaded sunbed run
there. Oh, I know. It'll be about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Away as well. Don't feel the pressure to do your sessions and your tempo work. Actually, if you can get 3 or 4 half an hour easy runs just to keep the sort of cardiovascular engine going, that'll do your work.
Yeah, because I was worried. I was thinking, because obviously it's light, but it's boiling in Turkey, isn't it, all the time? And I thought, oh God, am I gonna struggle? And then I was worried about not knowing where I'm going and being on my own as well, like running on my own somewhere I don't know. But one of my friends told me that the beach is about 10 kilometres away from where we are, down a hill. And so she said there's a shuttle bus as well back. So she said you could just run to the beach and then get the bus back.
Yeah, that's why I asked earlier, or was it yesterday, I don't know, about where it was. Because James and I have been to Turkey quite a few times, and we've stayed in Marmaris. We've just always run along the beach, like the promenade, which is really flat. And then my family a couple of years ago to Olu Deniz, and our hotel was like on top of the hill. And then we did go for like 1 or 2 runs to try it out, and then in the end we just ended up doing more core and strength work in the gym and a couple of like treadmill bits. So yeah, just sometimes when you're on holiday, you just have to adapt and do the best you can, focus on what you can, do what you can, and not worry about what you can't do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're all doing so well. Like it's just yeah, tonight I've loved hearing everything, how you're all getting on. It's all really positive, so keep that up. Keep sharing some of this stuff in the group because it's good to get these conversations going. Yeah, if you've ever got a question, then just pop it in the group. We're all happy to help out. But yeah, really positive call, everyone. And yeah, I will share some details about what other workshops we've got coming up. But yeah, 2 weeks' time is the taper workshop, so you can come along to that if you are around.
I think what's really important for you guys now is keep going as you are, but start getting excited. It's coming sooner than you think.
Around.
Mhm.
Amazing stuff, everyone. Right, thank you so much. Hope that you're not too prune like Debbie in the bar. But yeah, we'll speak to you all very soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you.